Welcome to the Big Life Podcast, where dreams aren't just imagined, they're built brick by brick, belief by belief. Hosted by Neal Oates Jr. and Robin Lewis, this show is your invitation to discover your amazing capabilities, invest in your growth, and unleash your potential in ways you've only dreamed of. Join Neal and Robin as they dive deep into stories, insights, and tools designed to inspire you to show up big, live intentionally, and give yourself away for the betterment of those around you. Get ready to rise to what you're truly worthy of. The Big Life starts now.
Welcome to the Big Life Podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Neal Oates Jr., Robin Lewis. How are you today, sir?
Hey, doing great, Neal. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic, and I'm even better because of the topic that we're going to talk about and the person that I get to discuss this with. So, Robin, today we are going to talk about a great thing called friendships, right? And not just friendship, but sincere friendship, real friendship, and what that means, the power that it has to unlock life if we allow it to. And so I'm going to, unlike other episodes, I'm going to kick it straight to my friend, Robin Lewis, and go ahead and get us started off talking about the secret of deep friendships, sincere friendships, and what it can do for us.
Yes, sir. Thanks very much, and welcome to our listeners. I'm going to start by sharing a quote by Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins says that the quality of your relationships determines the quality of your life. And so we're going to dive a little bit deeper into, the idea that sincere friendships are essential for a rich life. So it's not about how many people we know, but it's more about how deeply we know them and are known by others. And so today we're going to share 7 principles for living deep, sincere relationships. And some of these you've heard before. They're going to resonate with you. And so for some of you, our listeners, this might be a refresher, a reminder. Maybe we're your accountability partners today as we remind you of these. For some of you, you might need to write these down and start practicing these on a daily basis to help you to develop these deep, sincere relationships, which will make for a rich life. When Neal and I talk about relationships, Neal has a subject in his book about networking. Under that heading, it's about relationships and the power of relationships. And the truth is that when I look at my life, relationships are the key to the good that's happened in my life and the key to the bad. So relationships is really what life is all about. And so first of all, I'm going to jump into number 1, Neal, and we can kind of tag team on these. But the first one is people want to feel special. And so our goal is to make people feel special. And in order to do that, we have to be intentional about noticing them. My brother Neal is one of the best that I know at doing this. It's about doing things like remembering their names, making note of their milestones, their likes and their dislikes, their preferences. Make note as you're having conversation of some things that they say that they're sharing is important to them. Certainly remember things like their birthdays and anniversaries and so on, but don't wait for those things to let someone know that they matter. People want to know that they matter. I have a quote by Maya Angelou that says that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And so that might look like a handwritten note or a simple call. Sometimes I've received these from you, Neal, by the way, just to say I was thinking about you. And that can make someone, if we're doing it to somebody else, make them feel special. Any thoughts, sir, before, and then we can go to the next one.
So I don't think there's anything like one, that's a great place to start, right? Because if we aren't careful, we'll look around and the reality is we don't feel very special, right? So we look around and say, well, I'm not as good as this person, or I haven't accomplished as much as them. I don't have what they have. And we will rob ourselves of the awesomeness that we have, because that thing called the mind will play tricks on us. So just think about how special you are to someone that you make feel special. Right now, all of a sudden, they're going to want to be around you. They're going to want to engage with you. They're going to expect and anticipate your presence, and they're going to value you in a very at a very high level. And this is where we're rolling into that second principle. People want to be valued. So if you can make them feel special, but then if you can value them, people want to be valued. I think that's key. And so what's our job in this of making great relationships and friendships? If someone wants to be valued, we should value them. Right. And so here's what I love, Robin, about the whole idea of value. If we aren't careful, we can say we value someone, but the actions don't reveal that.
Yeah.
And so I can say, love you, I appreciate you. But if I operate and act in a way that's contrary to that, you're going to believe what I show you, not what I tell you. So we want to show appreciation consistently. You mentioned don't only make people feel special on their birthdays or anniversary, but what about just on a Tuesday? And I always say I'm looking for Tuesday friends. Tuesday friends are those who are going to show appreciation, not coming into the weekend or coming out of the weekend, but on what might be just the most bland day of the week, right? On a Tuesday when I'm in the grind, when my weekend friends have forgotten about me and those that need something from me aren't thinking about me, are you going to show appreciation to me just for who they are? And I think that's the important thing. We want to value people for who they are, not what they do, not what they can give to us, not what I can get from them, or maybe even just for the accolades or the reciprocating appreciation, but just because of who you are as a person. And then there are two things that I think are important. One, I do believe in showing appreciation, of showing that you value someone privately. We love that, right? But also there's this thing called public display of affection, right? And many times that's thought between couples. But for me, one of the best things that I can do, a public display of affection, is when I get on this podcast and I tell people, man, I love Robin Lewis. This guy right here, he is just a bad man. If there is a flood and the waters are rising, guess who I'm calling? And it's not just because of your insurance background, right? It's because I know that this guy right here is going to be by my side. Well, there are a few things that make us feel valued, appreciated, and special as public recognition and public appreciation. And so that's what I want to share. I want to remind us to take time to affirm our team, our family, right? Our loved ones, our kids, right? Especially today, it is important that we make our loved ones, especially our kids, those who are under our roofs or those that rely on us, we want to help them feel valued by affirming them on a consistent basis, privately and especially publicly, because that's going to have a great impact on them. What you got for me, sir?
Yes, right on with that. So I think you said it well. The idea there is that people want, thank you. I appreciate you. Like I think of the server at the restaurant. Thank you, right? Sometimes we can take people like that for granted. And so, yes, I'm right there with you, sir. So, the third one we want to talk about, folks, and these are simple things that can go a long way towards building that relationship. These are needs that we have as people. All of us want to be valued. And so the third one we're going to touch on is that people get emotionally low. And so encourage them. There is a test. I forget where I heard this from, Neal, but how do you know if people need encouragement? And the answer is if they're breathing. If they're breathing, they need encouragement. And so I think the idea here is that, are you lifting people up or are you bringing them down? Are you sucking the wind out of people, or are you a breath of fresh air or a wind that is below their wings and lifting them higher? Be the person who adds energy, not drain, not draining it. Be the encourager. A word of encouragement during a difficult time or during a failure, it can be worth, an hour of praise that they might receive after a success. So it's during the difficulty or the failure that little word of encouragement can go such a long way. I'm reminded of it with a family member that's right now going through some difficult time. And sometimes I have to be careful that I'm not draining because I'm trying to help them to make some decisions to move forward. And I have to be careful not to drain them. What I need to be more about is, I believe in you. You can do it. Yes, you're having some difficulty now, but don't worry about it. You can get through it. It happens to the best of us. So what we're saying here is that people can get low, and our role at that point in time is not to keep them down or to make them, rub it in their face, but to encourage them. What's your thought, Neal?
So on that, I was recently emotionally low and you encouraged me, right? So when we talk about this whole idea of relationships and friendships and how important they are, like a sincere friendship, having someone that can encourage you when you're emotionally low, it makes a world of difference. So encouraging them is going to be important. And this rolls into the other principle, number 4, is that people are insecure. Now, this is coming from an insecure person, right? Someone who looks like they have it together. But then at times, if we're honest with ourselves, we look and we compare, and then we think and we remember our failures, and we know all the bad things we've done or thought about, or where we have failed and come up short. So since people are insecure,
You deal with that too?
man, all day, every day. So it's a constant battle. Right. And so I think that, and I'm going to share something here in a moment. I think it's important for all of us to remember. But if we know that people are insecure, then we must give them confidence. And I'm glad that I got principle number 4, because this is one of my giftings in life. I just believe in people. Right. And I just see the good in them. And this is what I wanted to share when you asked me, like, Neal, even you, most people are fighting. I'm going to say all people are fighting battles that we can't see. And so when I have conversations or I'm teaching a class, every engagement, I open and close with something of this essence that says, I don't know what stuff you have, and you don't know what stuff I have, but we both have stuff. So I'm here to help you through your stuff, and you're here to help me through my stuff. And so I let people know that they can borrow my belief in them until they find their own. And so I know it gets annoying sometimes, Robin, but I am just a cheerleader, right? While I know it's necessary to critique and criticize at times, most of the time, you're going to see me with my popcorn and my pom poms cheering people on, saying, you can do it. I believe in you. And they're like, well, how do you know that I can do it? You don't know me, because you've got something special in you, right? And so that's where my Les Brown comes out. But knowing that people are insecure, that they are battling things that we can't see. And the reason I know that is because I'm doing the same thing. I'm going through things, and to have a cheerleader, to have someone give me confidence when I'm feeling insecure, it reminds me of a Vince Lombardi quote. And now, two sides to every coin, right, Robin? Confidence is contagious. So is a lack of confidence. And so
Mm.
if I'm going to be contagious, I want to be positively contagious. I want people to say, man, I get tired of Neal always believing in me. He makes me do stuff that I didn't even know was possible. And that's the truth, right? If I'm insecure, when that energy, when that confidence gifter comes into the room, all of a sudden, I believe I'm capable of doing more than I believed I was before they came in. And those people are always invited into the room. Those individuals that are going to let you borrow their confidence, that's going to help you be less insecure in those moments. You get encouraged by them, and then you're like, hey, where's Robin? Where's Neal? I can't wait to see them. I hope they're here today. And then you're always going to receive that invitation.
Yeah, right on. That's so well said. I can see you've done that for me in many ways, and I know the feeling that it provides for me. I've done it for others, and I know the feeling that it provides for others as well. It goes such a long way. And so I'm going to go to the next one, sir, which is number 5. If you're taking
Hold
notes,
on, wait one moment, Robin. Before you jump on your number 5, I want everyone to, as I tell my kids on the weekends at church, turn your listening ears on because this one is a big one because this is against human nature, right? So I want to just preface what you're going to share with number 5. I want our listeners to really tune in and lock in. Go ahead, brother.
yeah, and this one we spoke about on a recent episode from the vantage point of family, but it goes into all of relationships, and that's people want to be understood, and so we need to listen to understand. And there is a difference between listening to reply versus listening to learn. And we're suggesting that we're listening to learn. And so a lot of times what happens, and I'm trying to get better at this, Neal, because I tend to want to tell people, I want to be that one that replies, but I'm learning to listen and ask more questions to really try to understand. And it's amazing what actually happens as we do that. When people feel heard, they feel loved. So, how do you spell love? It's Listen, right? And Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So it goes a long way towards you even sharing whatever it is that you want to share. It's really, first of all, understanding that person's heart, that person's perspective, their values, why they think the way that they think, what's important to them, and so on. And so one of the things that I would suggest here that we need to do is a simple practical thing that Neal and I we wanted this to be practical as we talk about listening. A simple little question that you and I can get in the habit of asking more when we're in conversations is, tell me more. Tell me more about that. Help me to understand. And so you're getting a habit of asking questions and listening with the intent to understand. Even as leaders, John says this, I've heard this, and I get this. You listen, you learn, and then you lead. So as a leader, if you haven't taken the time, if I haven't taken the time to listen and learn, it's going to be really hard for me to authentically lead. Neal, your thoughts?
So, if you're watching this episode, you see me smiling almost to the point that I can't contain it. Because when I say tell me more, that means that's going to be less opportunity and less time for me to talk. So, for my leaders in here, for my alpha personalities, tell me more and be quiet, right? So you're going to say, tell me more, and we're just going to listen to understand. And like I said, the reason I have the smile on my face is it's one of the most powerful things that I've had to learn. It does not come natural to me. Someone who always wants to yap, but that tell me more has changed every relationship. The tell me more practice and principle has created sincere relationships and friendships that had I talked about me, it would not have, the relationship would not be as deep as it is now. So principle number 6, and I think this is important because we all have this idea of success and they might be different, but people want to be successful. So our job is to help them win. And we want to help them be successful and win whatever that looks like for them. And so there is a right way and a wrong way, Robin, to help people win. The right way is we want to help others succeed without keeping score. We want to help them cross their finish line, help them get to the top of their mountain without saying, hey, you won, but if it wasn't for me, you never would have been here. And so that's what we don't want. We don't want to help others win and create this sense of obligation or now you owe me. And then I think a true friend, a sincere friend, is not only going to help their friends, their loved ones win, but they're going to celebrate that win, celebrate that victory as if it were their own, right? Where now I know that once Robin gets to the top of the mountain, once he breaks through that finish line tape, I'm going to be sitting there dancing. And once again, I am a cheerleader with pom poms and popcorn, so it's a little bit easier for me. But for some of us, maybe that is the difference maker in all of our relationships and friendships. What if we celebrated the victories of those that we care about like they were our own? And there's a quote that says success is best when it's shared, right? And if we aren't careful, we will think that it's lonely at the top. We've heard that. I don't believe it, because the reason it's lonely at the top is because we have not shared our success. We have not given people permission to celebrate with us. And those who are around us aren't celebrating with us when we win. And so this is where I'm going to encourage us to look at our lives, look in our Rolodex or our contact list, see who we know, see what skills we have, see what connections we have or resources that might benefit someone else with no obligation to repay that to us. And I believe that if we help people succeed, if we help them be successful, if we help them win, then ultimately, if we do it the right way, we're all going to win. And then we'll find ourselves in an upward spiral of victories, Robin.
Right on. And sir, I well said. And what I just want to add to our listeners is that's what this podcast is all about. We want to help you to win. You know, we use an acronym. It's called the Big Life. The just the first three letters there, BIG. We want you to believe in yourself and recognize that belief drives behavior. And we want to encourage you and let you know that we believe in you. And then we want you to invest in yourself. And here's where success comes in. If you can, there's five areas that we focus on. There's a sixth one that we believe, but we don't, we leave room for different beliefs on that sixth one. But the five are that if we can learn to communicate really well, if we can learn to lead really well, if we can learn to equip others, if we can learn to have a positive attitude, and if we can learn to develop relationships, that if we get really good at that, we can be successful. And so we share on those subjects to help you to win. That's what this podcast is all about. And then the sixth one that I mentioned is our faith, to leave room for God. We believe that success, really true success, is only possible with a relationship with our maker. But that's the one that I know everybody might have a little different belief on, but we wouldn't be true to ourselves if we didn't share our faith with you. And that's something that, both Neal and I are ready at any time if you want to have a conversation around that. But number 7, and Neal, that wasn't
Hold
so.
on, wait. Hold on, Robin. You gave us the B and the I. You got to finish with the G.
Yes, the G is to give yourself away. Thank you, Neal. So, which is all about what we're about. Right here, we're talking about helping others win. That's giving of yourself to help others win. And so that's what this podcast, we do this for number 6, right? To help you to win. And then but we want to practice this in our lives, period. I just wanted to highlight that regarding the podcast, Neal. So thank you for that. And number 7 is people are looking for a better tomorrow. So give them hope. I love this quote that we have by Desmond Tutu. He said, hope is being able to see that there is light despite all of the darkness. There is light despite all the darkness. You're a listener. You might be going through darkness right now. And I don't mean to make light of that. I want to pause for a moment and encourage you. I want to encourage you to stop and think about how far you have come. Maybe you might be in the middle of a difficulty. Maybe there might be a loss in your life. Maybe there's a struggle or pain or some suffering that you're going through right now, right? Maybe you're hurting. Maybe you've made some mistakes. Maybe you've made a huge mistake that is causing major consequences in your life. It doesn't matter. All of the above. What I want to encourage you is that tomorrow can be better. One of the things that we're blessed with is we have today, and today is going to end at some point, and then comes tomorrow. And what I want you to do is think about the good that's happened in your life. Oftentimes, there is good that actually comes out of the bad that we're experiencing. I said it to somebody the other day, Neal, their son, their 12-year-old son died. Talk about tragedy. And they're now finding meaning and purpose in their son's life through them being able to help others who might be struggling with something similar. That's good. That's come out of
Yeah.
that scenario. Um, so the point is that we need to encourage each other in the terms of providing them with hope, helping them to have the resilience that it's going to take to get through whatever difficulty it is that they're facing. That oftentimes the difficulty that they're facing actually becomes something, a resource or something that they can use to help others, help them to see that there's a better future. We just recently came through the pandemic. In fact, as we're recording this, we're 5 years after the pandemic. So we're recording the COVID pandemic, because you never know, right? It could be another one that come
Be
along.
like, which one? Which one was this?
Yeah, I should be clear about that. We're recording this in 2025. And one of the things that we as leaders needed to do is to help our team, help our family, help people that are around us to know that this too shall pass. Better is coming. This is not the doom. This is not the end of the world. And so,
Robin, right there, let me jump in and just say, you mentioned that we as leaders have to remind them of that when we're in whatever thing it is, sometimes it's just so hard to believe, right? And so I know that's what you're talking about, giving us hope for a better tomorrow. I don't want you all to miss that, right? Once we lose hope, what else do we have? And that's where maybe some of you are right on the verge of losing hope. Reach out to someone, right? Find someone and even communicate to them, say, hey, I've lost hope. I don't believe tomorrow can be better. Because once you lose hope, that's a dangerous place to be. And so Robin is mentioning it from a leadership, maybe a family standpoint, and then even mentioning the pandemic, the COVID-19, and so many people just gave up. They did not see a better tomorrow. And so, as you shared this seventh principle, Robin, it's so important for us to understand the power and the value of lending hope. And then, if we feel like we're hopeless, let's see where we can borrow some hope from. Let's see where we can go and get some of that. And so, Robin, just keep going. I just didn't want people to miss this whole idea of how priceless hope is.
yeah, no, it's very good. I'm glad you highlighted it. I remember a friend of mine always used to say, and she said this oftentimes when she was praying, is that the best is yet to come. And I think it's just a great statement for us to make in our lives, because and I would say study people that that have demonstrated resilience. There are people, I think of the Holocaust, right? You think of people that the most horrific things you can think about, painful, thousands of lives taken, just tragedy. I mean, evil. But even through that, there's some that hung on to the hope of a better tomorrow, and they're now there to talk about it. And so, even in the worst scenarios, there is still a better tomorrow. And we want to be able to be the type of people to give that to others, give hope to others. And so, Neal, as we kind of wrap it up here, true success is not just about personal achievement, it's about the depth of your relationships. And when we develop those rich relationships, we connect with people deeply, we live richly. And so I want to, as we wrap it up today, challenge our listeners to think of one person today that you can encourage, or that you can value, or that you can give hope to. And I just encourage you to actually do that for that person.
Absolutely, Robin. That's where I was hoping you were going to finish. Don't just think about them. Do something with that. Actually let them know that, hey, you are special. You are valued. I am your cheerleader. You call me. I'm going to have all of my pom-poms and popcorn ready. And Robin, you have been that person for me. You are one of those people for me. And I pray that I continue to be one of those people for you in
Right
your
on,
life
brother.
as well, sir.
100%.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Big Life Podcast. These idea of having sincere, deep friendships and relationships. We know that relationships are what make life worth living. And so, let's do something with what we heard today. Robin and I are going to do something with what we shared today, because we are also listeners and students of everything that we discuss here on the Big Life Podcast. Be sure to share this episode, the show, with someone that you believe it would benefit. We want to remind you that we love you, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time we see you or you see us, we're right there with you. Peace.
Peace.